Hello, my name is Eric Weller, and I'd like to talk to you about the rent to own industry in America, a moral and legal history and analysis. And this presentation is for the Cornerstone University class Legal Business Environment. Basically, a rent to own industry, the rent to own industry, also known as rental purchase or rent to buy, is a type of legally documented transaction under which tangible property, so it has to be something that is tangible, it cannot be real estate, such as furniture, for example, consumer electronics are very popular, motor vehicles, home appliances, real property, and things like engagement rings are leased to the consumer in exchange for a weekly or monthly payment with the option to purchase at some point during the agreement. Within the United States, the practice of a retail-based rent-to-own businesses began to develop in the 1950s and 1960s. Individuals cited as key figures in the history of the rent-to-own transaction and application as a business model include Charles Loudermilk, who in 1955 began renting out Army surplus chairs and then later founded a company called Aaron Rents. And then another influential businessman named Ernest Talley started Mr. T's Rental in Wichita, Kansas in the 60s. And then he later went on to establish the company we all know more about, and that is Rent-A-Center, which we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Rent-A-Center in this presentation because they're at the center of many of these legal issues that we're going to talk about. Although this type of business is legal and widely practiced, rent-to-own agreements and contracts do face scrutiny, and it's growing scrutiny, and in the current form are morally questionable. A little background on the rent-to-own industry. The rent-to-own industry abuses the criminal system and it extracts payment from low-income consumers. It doesn't require a credit check. That's why it's so popular, especially among customers who earn less than $40,000 a year. 4 out of 5 rent-to-own customers earn less than $40,000 a year, and 41% are ethnic minorities. Rent-to-own salespeople use very aggressive sales tactics. And under obscure laws written years ago, the rent-to-own industry is protected. The laws were actually written by the rent-to-own industry lobby, and companies are able to turn a dispute over furniture or appliances or similar type of goods into threats of arrest, felony theft, and even incarceration. The business practices carried out by these rent-to-own companies is questionable. We're going to talk about that in detail. And I want to talk about not just the legality surrounding the rent-to-own industry, but the moral rightness of the way it is currently structured. Proverbs 16:11 says that God cares about honesty in the workplace, not just in our private lives, not just at church. He cares about honesty in the workplace, in the real world. And then it goes on to say, your business is his business. A couple of very significant cases are Blair versus Rent-A-Center in 2017. This has set the tone for a lot of cases that came after it. There was a wrongful seizure situation that occurred when Rent-A-Center went in and wrongfully seized a family's goods from their home, forcefully removed it from their home. It caused trauma to the family, to the children. The court awarded Blair a lot of damages, so this was a very influential case. We're going to talk about that. And then even before that, in 1983, the root of the rent-to-own industry was Sight and Sound of Ohio versus Wright. And this was a detailed ruling on the legality of rent-to-own contracts and really established a precedent that many courts drew upon in regards to that these contracts were legal, even though they were immoral, they were ethically wrong, they took advantage of low income and minorities, the court ruled in 1983 that these type of contracts could stand. So we're going to go into a couple other of court cases that have really started to tone down the aggressive tactics that these rent-to-own companies use. And we're going to talk about the legality of it, we're going to talk about the morality of it, and we're really going to break it down even in a state-by-state type of way, because each state varies in how they have these statutes that govern the rent-to-own industry. So there's some confusion. There's no cohesive really law that spreads across the country. It really is left up to the states. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation. I look forward to writing the paper and submitting it, and I look forward to watching all of your presentations as well.